Welcome back, everyone. We just added the 13-year-old with
The giant shield.
saddle?
There's a giant shield on her back.
Okay. Sure.
Yep.
Alright.
Yep.
And then we're around to this, like, badass,
Thing.
I love the, like, moon jumping in this game.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Alright, so we went from one cutscene.
To another
We
cutscene.
ran a couple feet. Now it's another cutscene.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Or I should say, that is a thing that could easily have been removed.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to have us walk a few feet to a cutscene, eliminate the walking.
Yeah, it's like, that's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But whatevs, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's their way of being like, hey, if you wanted to, you could leave right now and go wander the world.
Yeah.
And then come back to this cutscene if you wanted to.
It beats walking.
That was
that's
a lot
for
of
sure.
ease in there.
Yeah.
The best way to see NLA. I never
Oh,
get
yeah,
tired of
NLA.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a different city every time.
No, it's actually the
Certainly
same city.
come a long
Yeah,
way in
it's
the
just
last
you're
few
viewing
weeks.
it at a different angle every time.
Still so much to be
I mean,
done.
you guys have only been setting up for like 2 months, so of course it's going to look different.
Yeah. Also, how are they seeing the city
Which we
if
don't
they're
really
in the
have time
cargo
for a full
pod
pleasure cruise here.
and there's no windows on it?
Why don't you give us the express tour?
TV
Just
monitors?
the highlights.
I guess. That makes
Okay,
sense.
you got it.
Like cameras you
Yeah.
can view it from. Makes sense.
New LA. is
Yeah.
divided into 4 districts. We
Alright,
departed from
4
the industrial
districts.
district.
I don't know what it is about this game, but,
It has food production.
and this could just be because I haven't gotten far enough into it, and as sad as this is going to sound, and maybe this will be a bit of a deterrent.
Remember?
Deterrent?
Expect to pass through
Deterrent.
fairly
There you go.
I'm like,
Straight out of the cities and the administrative
maybe
I'm skipping ahead.
30 hours into the game right now,
Next
and
is the commercial district.
I have
Restaurants, galleries, cafes, clothing.
barely
You name it.
scratched the surface of their more intricate systems.
Okay.
The CD
So
is
it's a
the
very
closest thing
complex
to a
game.
download.
Yes,
Got
and it is
Can actually
very
be
long,
crowded
and it
sometimes.
is really drawn out to
Day or night, the best and only
explain
garden
all the little things.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
to your right.
it's not bad.
Residential district.
That does not make it, you know,
Yeah.
a terrible thing, but it definitely makes it
If you're ever looking for quiet
Um,
time alone, or want to relax and
a
unwind
very
with a book,
difficult
that's the spot.
task
Right? The park's
kind
my
of,
favorite place to just zone out and chill. And
Uh,
last but not least, our
get to the meat of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a game that like kind of requires a huge time investment. There's some benefits and like disadvantages to that. Because sometimes, like, all right, you just want a game to soak in for a very long time, but at the same time, you know, I know you have a kind of similar issue, but we both, you know, work, and there's a lot of other, you know, commitments we have where it's like there's not really a whole lot of time to dedicate to gaming.
Yeah.
So like, well, some people, and it's the kind of weird, interesting balance that you get with games where it's like, all right, so there's this game like this, say it's a
We'll save the
60 to
rest for
100
you
hour
for
game,
once we're back.
right?
Mhm.
To just really get into everything. Someone like me is not going to really have a lot of time to dedicate to that, and so what will end up happening, you know, which is the same that happened to games like Skyrim for me, is that I play, you know, 30 or so hours of it, and then I just kind of stop.
Yeah, because you really haven't scratched the surface at 30 hours in a 100-hour game.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're, you know, a third of the way through it, but I mean, the halfway point, like the 50%, once you hit that point,
Enjoy your stay in
it
the
becomes
administrative district, and thank you
bigger
for flying
task
Miami Airlines.
to really
Right.
move through
Let's
it,
get you over
because
to the
you
barracks.
can choose to
Then
turn
she'll
a
follow my
100-hour,
report.
take a 100-hour game
They'll be eager to
and
hear
stretch
the
it out to
details
like
of
a
how I found
200,
you.
300-hour experience.
Well,
There
Yeah.
are people
Better not keep them
who
waiting.
are still
The
playing
barracks are pretty close,
um,
actually. They're set up just behind the giant tower.
Fallout 3 and haven't even beaten the game yet.
Yeah.
That road
And
that
Fallout
wraps
4
around the
just
left
came
side
out.
leads right
Yeah,
to
and a lot the thing to keep in mind too is
We'll
like,
pass through Armory
well,
Alley,
in those
but let's
scenarios,
not
it's like
get
that's the
sidetracked,
only
okay?
game you're
We can
playing.
check it out
Like,
later.
there's a whole bunch of other games that you could be playing,
Uh-huh.
but don't have the time to. It's like you only have the time to dedicate to one game. It's actually one of the issues I have with, you know, like MMOs and stuff like that, like World of Warcraft and stuff, because it's very much a scenario of, you know, this game expects me to play it, you know, 10 to 20 hours a week. It's like, well, but I want to do other games.
Yeah.
They killed Fritz! They killed Fritz!
Oh, poor Fritz.
I don't really want to talk to you, Fritz.
Alright, bye,
I lied.
Fritz.
Got all excited. He's like, someone's gonna talk to me?
PC wants to talk to Fritz!
Vera.
But yeah,
I don't have
people who have full-time jobs, people who have not necessarily labor-intensive jobs, because, well, yes, some people who have labor-intensive jobs don't really want to just sit and veg out with a game, but people who are very, I don't know,
And here we are.
people who have
Great barracks.
very mentally exhaustive
Consider yourself our
jobs
guest until
Yeah.
we finish getting you
don't
registered.
want to come
Feel
home
free to come
and
and
sink
go as you
themselves
please.
into basically a giant
away.
Is there a problem?
It's not looking away.
that's just shaking your head.
Is there a
You
problem
don't
here?
want to sink yourself into like basically another giant, 100-hour technical document.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to sit there and like figure out every little detail of the game. Be like, okay, so if I equip this armor, it gives me a 0.5 benefit to my crit chance. Well, if I equip this one, it gives me a 0.2 to my armor piercing.
Yeah.
And it, like you sit there and you calculate out which has a higher effectiveness ratio.
Good.
Like,
Be sure it stays.
you don't want to do that.
More importantly,
And so for games like this, for people who work like in our industry specifically, or at least in my case, in your case,
Yeah.
games like this
for officially
are
registered
really hard to get into when
Why
you're
don't we talk
working.
inside?
You know,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
different
true.
story right now because
It
we're
could take
on
some
our
time.
winter break and,
Ah, yes.
we have some free time to kind of
Must
just,
be weary from the station.
I don't know, immerse ourselves in this world.
Please.
Yeah.
After you.
But
I'll
Yeah.
put on some tea.
sometimes I just want to sit down and play Devil May Cry. Who cares about the storyline?
Yeah.
God of War, bring it on. Just, massive button mashing for the win.
Yeah. Like, not a lot of systems involved. Like, those kind of games, it's pretty simple. The upgrade system is very straightforward. You hit a button, it gets better, it does more damage, boom. We move
Yeah.
on with our lives.
But I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, we miss out on games like this, where there's the intricate plots that are going on, there's an affinity system, we're leveling up our abilities, we get random loot drop. We're playing an MMO, really.
Yeah.
We're playing a single-player MMO. And
Allow me to.
a game like this is awesome. Like, it's fun,
Taronagi.
but it is
You may remember me
exhaustive
as
to
captain
play.
of the White
Yeah.
Whale. Now I serve as Secretary of Defense here for New LA.
Wait,
The
why is
provisional
the
government has
captain
charged me with keeping
now
the
just a
peace.
secretary?
All military and police matters fall
Well,
under my
it
jurisdiction.
kind of makes sense. I mean, he's
also
a
my
captain in
superior
the military sense, but now the government's no longer run by the military,
Start looking for work.
right? It's run by,
What about a job right here? with
whatever
Blade?
they said, the provisional
He seems
government, elected officials and all that
Let's give him a
stuff.
little more
So
time.
just because he
At
was a
least
captain
until he
doesn't
knows enough to
necessarily
be able to make an
mean he's
informed
going to be the
decision.
leader of the government.
So he is the leader of the
Some
military
form
armed
of memory
forces, while that
Animals.
head of
From
state
stasis.
dude is in charge of
barely
basically
remember
like
his name.
the government of the
Nothing at all
people.
about
Yeah,
what
well, it sounds like
happened
he's not even actually
Whale.
holding the rank of captain anymore. It sounds like he may have stepped,
Though,
not necessarily stepped down
the entire lot
from
of
that
us have
position,
only been
but
on this planet
kind of stepped
for what,
sideways
2 months?
and became more of an elected
It
official
shouldn't
as
take very long to
secretary.
get caught up.
Well, I mean, so
My
this is the
thoughts
captain,
exactly.
and he said that he's the Secretary of Defense, which, if I'm not wrong by his definition, means that he's in charge of all state security and military and all that stuff, like making sure that the people are safe, making sure that the city is safe.
Not
is an
necessarily.
Builders of
It's
a
more or less
legacy
he's a
after
government
the
official that's
destruction of
hired
Earth.
to kind of
Quite fitting, I think.
interact
It's a
and
relatively
oversee
new
military execution.
Up there in space,
And
we
granted,
have
like,
plenty of
so at this
provisions,
point,
and a
where
crew
the
trained
city
to
has
handle
touched
the limited
down
amount of situations
and
we might
has,
encounter in our travels.
but
of course,
now
all
they're
that
kind of trying to
changed
form
after
this
we
sort of
lost most
colony.
our ship and
They
came
might not
crashing
need as
down
much
here on
military oversight as they did previously.
Search and rescue team.
I guess.
Yeah,
that
see,
makes
like he's
sense.
saying here, what they need now is food, water, rescue
It
teams,
was too
stuff
much
like
for
that.
the provisional government to manage on its own. So Blade was.
And so that's what he's kind of running
the
up.
idea was
Yeah.
to have one
Okay,
central
that makes
organization
sense.
And I guess they're
different
making
disciplines
this
to
new
fill these
organization
various
called
roles.
Blade?
Yeah.
Its core
So I
was
guess
pulled from the
Blade's
coalition
job is to
military,
kind
so
of,
it's mostly
Okay.
former soldiers.
So it's kind of like a,
Fighting isn't our most important duty. Right now, we
it's
have
like a
single top priority
militarized
supersedes all others.
security team.
Search for
kind of.
slash
recovery of
expedition force.
the life
Yeah, like he's saying, it's like Blade's job is to
Take a
be
look at
people who
this.
can handle themselves in a fight, but not necessarily fight. Like their objectives are go out and find water, go out and find sources of food.
Or specifically, like he just said, that their one main priority is to find this thing called the life hold, which is basically the cryostasis pod that holds everybody.
This is a complete schematic of that facility.
Because I guess, like,
Only
you know,
essential
he
personnel
was
were
saying,
conscious
like,
and
he
active
was
for the journey
jettisoned
from
because
Earth.
he was the
Flight
captain of this white whale
maintenance
while
Yeah.
it was flying.
And of course,
And
the
you
military
were
was to
apparently
defend ourselves
were
if
on the
necessary.
the life hold, and then
The
it,
vast
like, I guess
majority were
jettisoned
in
you
the
when
life
it
hold.
landed, and you only got
Are in the life
reactivated.
hold.
Makes sense.
With any luck,
Yeah.
they're all still
Interesting.
there in stasis, waiting to
So that
be
means that
rescued.
the vast majority of people have not been awakened.
There's a problem.
Yeah, which
We now
is
know the life hold broke apart along with
interesting.
the rest of the ship when we came down on Mirror.
question of asking, like,
What we
how
don't
many
know is
people
exactly
were
where
on
this
this life
landed.
hold?
Not
How
very
many people
comforting
is
to
it
know.
supposed to have? Do
Probably.
we?
Blade's top
Yeah.
priority
I was gonna say
now
probably a
is
great
the
number. I mean,
units.
I think the scientific number in order to repopulate the Earth, minimum requirement is 10,000 people.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'd assume that each of their ships would carry somewhere in the ballpark of like 10,000 people at least, maybe even more.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that, like, the safe number, like, the overshooting number is something like 30,000 people.
Yeah.
I think I heard that recently.
Their
yeah, that's
technology and
interesting.
weapons were beyond our comprehension.
Oh, look, that
We were
cutscene
like
again.
infants, naked.
It's like we started the game all over.
Woo!
was reduced
Woo!
to ash.
I guess
Watch-
apparently it was a 3-way battle?
Yeah, I guess it was like 2 alien forces versus Earth.
That's fucked up, bro.
I
Yeah.
still wonder if I hadn't
Huh.
been there. If maybe all of this could have somehow been
What?
avoided.
What?
If
No
you,
one can know that, Elma. What we do.
you specifically,
without you,
Elma.
There'd have been no Project Exodus, and no escape
Oh,
for any of us.
What?
something special's
Go
happening.
perfectly.
Why isn't she the main character?
We
This
are
is
here.
really
We
weird
are
to me.
alive.
It kind of makes sense. It's sort of like a Mass Effect or whatever.
So, yes,
The main
Project
character is kind of like a blank slate. Like he doesn't really talk. He doesn't
Once
really
we
do
learned
much.
the Earth
It's
might be
because he's
threatened,
supposed to be our
we needed a
connection to the
plan
game.
preserve
He's
all
our
the
in.
various life
But Commander Shepard was like a big
plan
thing
was the
prior to
life
this.
colonization
He was
Kind of, but if you
Otherwise
actually
known
think
as
about like the
Project
Mass Effect titles, there's not a whole lot about Commander Shepard outside of what you determine.
Those of us who
Okay, that's
escaped
true.
from the
No,
White
you're
Whale
absolutely
spent over
right.
2 years
So
wandering
Elma's supposed to be like that
Too
key
hard
point
years.
of the tie back to like
But we
how
clung
they
to our
survived, what happened on
Yeah.
Earth, and you're just
Settled.
like, you know, Joe Schmo number
We had no
45.
idea
Yeah.
how long it would
He's
take.
supposed to be the player. He's the personification of the player. He's our avatar.
The
Okay,
decision would
interesting.
eventually be made for us.
Damn, that is a big ass ship.
Yeah.
Like, you look at how big NLA is, New LA, and then you see that it's just like this tiny little bubble attached to the bottom of the ship.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
for worse.
That is
We're close
just
to planet
wild
Zero
right
when
there.
lost
Oh,
control.
and there's
And they
the
get
the-
fucked.
Yeah.
Good thing it had time to jettison the planet.
Ooh, yeah.
Or the
The
city.
ship had taken
The
way
city
too much
and the
damage
life hold,
to survive
apparently.
entering
Yeah.
the atmosphere intact.
Jeez.
We had no
Oh,
choice.
So I wonder,
Channeled all the power
that
we
crystal,
had left to
like,
soft land the
porcupine bullshit on the bottom of the ship,
Yeah.
is that like a pre-designed
Once the dust cleared, we set
safety
toward
measure
transforming it into its
for
current
when it
state.
lands, or is that something that grew
Searching
because of the
survivors,
planet's composition of its
establishing
I
atmosphere?
don't
installing the
know.
provisional government.
definitely like it might even be there for protective reasons, you know, like maybe a little bit of both. Like it's supposed to kind of cushion the planet, and then once it, or not the planet, the city, and then once it's landed,
like creatures can't just like charge at it.
Because it looked like it was kind of made of like a diamond-like substance, so maybe it's just really hard, like an outer exterior.
Interesting. That would make a lot of sense. Until they could like fortify it and put like it's like not parapets. What is it? Like defensive spikes.
Yeah,
almost. Which is interesting when you think about it. Like, how could they have designed it that way? Unless it was like something that they purposely did afterwards.
Possibly.
And hey, it's not all bad. Registering gets you access to all kinds of public services.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, 13-year-old.
Sure, this is all.
Where the fuck did she even come from?
You'll be wanting.
I don't know.
Ms. Koo.
But a small part. Oh my god, your character looks so emo from this distance.
Yeah. He looks pretty emo up close too. Ooh. He looks emo from all distances.
He reminds me of that one character from the IT crowd.
Yeah.
The one that hides in the server room.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord. Alright, so we finished the prologue.
Yay!
Finally!
Oh, we're almost done with chapter 1. Look at that shit.
Oh, we're almost done with chapter 1. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, we discovered the Blade Barracks.
The Blade Barracks.
Nagi. Bye, Nagi.
I guess the map hasn't even activated yet on the pad.
Here's the thing.
Yeah. What is that? Unable to convert Blade ID.
I need a Blade. Bladed. Alright.
Yeah.
You know, though, like, okay, so as much as I have griped a little bit about some of the systems and, like, almost unnecessary complexity to the game, I do like the overall premise. As I kind of mentioned in, like, our first episode, or... come on.
That's your bedroom.
Sweet.
Yep, time management.
I don't want to wait there. It does remind me a lot of like Battlestar Galactica and that kind of stuff.
Oh, humanity is on its last fringes and you are the savior essentially.
Well, that's the thing too, like this character's not even, at least at this point in the game, he's not even the savior.
He's just a random soldier.
I don't even know if he's technically a soldier. It's more like a it's more like, hey, you're just a dude. We found you. Cool. You're a survivor. Alright, here, go look at the town. It's kind of neat. You can handle yourself in a fight, so you might be super useful. So, I'm interested to see, like, where this goes further in the game.
Yeah, I could see that. So, actually, to bring up something from,
Nagi must really want him to join Blade.
And something that we tend to do. I don't know what it is about human nature, but later on in the game you'll see this happen, but people like to pick on people.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Reason. And it's not like because we dislike somebody or because you dislike somebody. It's mainly like you enjoy picking on the people that you enjoy being around. And I never understood that personally. I do it myself. I know you do it. I know everybody in our group does it. And it's just such a weird thing. And Lindley right here, the 13-year-old creeper, she is like the perfect example of that. Because later on you get like this little follower character.
Whoa!
What?
I don't know if you saw what she just said, but that was some, like, creepy-ass shit.
What did she do?
She's like, do you ever have that dream where you're inside one, and it's just transforming over and over and over? It's like, whoa! You know what, 13-year-old girl? Maybe you don't talk about that dream.
Yeah, maybe you go and see the doctor and get some medication. Because that's not right.
Still.
But yeah, so you get like a partner later on in the
New
game,
LA
and she
has
just
gone from
like
basically nothing
picks
to
on
this in
it
just 2 short months.
non-stop.
Never have come so far, so
And
fast
she's also,
without
you know,
scale
super
technology.
creepy about robots, apparently.
Yeah, she is
I'd
really
love to get
in
you
love
into
with
one to
robots.
see for
Yeah.
yourself,
But who
it's
isn't?
not that simple.
Oh my god. It, you
Well,
know,
yeah, duh. For one thing, only blades are allowed to pilot skulls.
what is that
And
movie?
even then, you need a license.
These aren't toys. we're
Guillermo
talking
del
about.
Toro,
They're complex
robots,
machines with powerful
monsters,
weapons. And
Pacific
they're a
Rim?
precious
Pacific
resource. We
Rim.
only have so many
That
to
is
go around.
like
So yes,
my-
as you might imagine, the certification process is
my
a very rigorous
13-year-old wet dream is to be
I'm sure
just a
you're thinking,
giant
where do I sign
robot
up for the
pilot
test?
and
But it's
fight
not that
monsters.
They choose
Not
you.
being a robot
Not
that's
the other way
transforming
around.
over and over
You can't
again.
Yeah.
just walk in the
But
front door
like
and
being
go,
in a robot and just like
There is
fighting
some criteria.
giant
Details
monsters
are
and protecting the
largely hidden,
world,
but basically,
being the
hero
hero
allows
of
the cream
justice.
of the crop to take the test.
I think that everybody
Blades will
has
above and
had
beyond
that
their
dream
duties, and for the
of
people of
being
New LA in general.
essentially the savior of Earth.
If you
Yeah.
become a blade and work
And
hard,
people who are
I'm sure
listening to
it'll only
this,
be a
I don't
matter
know
of
if
time
you
before the
agree with
top
me
one
or
shows
not,
up.
but please, in the comments below,
Speaking
tell
of
us,
work, that reminds
when
me.
you were, you know,
Why don't we check out the mission control board
mid-teens
first?
or starting to
That's where we
become
check
a
on our
teenager
assignments.
Yeah.
from being a
Good
kid,
call. Let's head
you
on.
had that dream where you were the savior of Earth. You were the you know, piloting a robot or, you know, fighting aliens or taking on the enemies and protecting the one you cared about. Mission control. Oh, right there.
Yep.
All
So
right.
This is mission control.
I wish it would just run us through this tutorial
We don't
without
have a
having to
dispatch
make us
system,
walk.
so blades
Yeah, I'm not even
usually
paying
choose their
attention to
own
what's
assignments.
going on.
Yeah.
Everyone comes here and
Basically,
selects from the missions available
this is the
on
tutorial zone. This
No,
is where
this
you
is-
pick up
And it's
quests.
This is
not
our
just
quest
about
hub.
blade
Yeah,
builders,
Got it.
and
anyone with a
it's
request.
super nice, actually.
Businesses, citizens, whoever.
Do we want to just skip this
Yeah,
cutscene?
it's basically how anything
we?
gets done in
Hit
New
start?
LA. So the board is constantly.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we're skipping this cutscene. I'm gonna tell it to you. This is the quest hub. You walk straight ahead to where it says online. Once you become a Blade member, you can pick up quests. The lady off to the right, Eleonora.
Yes.
Eleonora. Eleonora?
Sure.
Eleonora. You talk to her every time your blade level increases, and she gives you fat loot and special skills.
Oh, I love fat loots.
Right here, off to the immediate right, is what's called the scout board.
Ta-da! The blades
You
scout
hire
console.
people online.
Okay.
And the
Good
goal-
cutscene.
Yep, you hire people online to help you with quests. You can hire anybody from level 1 to 60.
Listen,
Neat.
Enjoy. Moving on. Off to your left here, I should do cutscenes. You have your manufacturing board, and you have your auction house, essentially. Or I'm sorry, you buy things from the Armory Alley, further to the left.
To the left.
Yeah, you gotta keep going more to the left.
Okay, this way.
Yep, right
Oh,
there.
there we go.
Yellow
So
is
this
where you
street's
buy
what we
stuff
call
from
Armory
shops. Purple is where you buy
Blades
stuff
and
from, where you
requisition.
create things with schematics.
Cool.
Any of the ven-
Did
There
it.
you go. Did it.
Taking that tour.
Yep. And then you go to the entrance of Blade Tower, which you cannot use the pad for yet. You gotta go down Armory Alley and then go to the front.
Okay.
Yep. In front of Blade Tower is absolutely useless, and you only need to know about it whenever you have to go and do something special for a quest. Everything else down this alley is pretty fucking useless.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Did it.
So, this is actually a game mechanic that I kind of dislike.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wandering around a giant
Come here, it's
town
usually to stop by Blade HQ.
where
The higher ups. like
there's
Secretary
pretty much
Nazi and
not a
Commander
lot
Random
for
will
you
spend
to
most
do
of their
here
day
except for go to
The
like
government
2
leads, too.
specific
They're
places.
based in the town.
Yeah.
Guys like our new
I
director general
like it and
Alicia
dislike it
Sonic.
at the same time because
Blade
on
sometimes
one end I would
reports
like it a lot
here
if
after we finish key
when you're running
assignments.
through the town
to
you can go
remember
to
this
different
place.
shops, you can go to different places,
That
you
about does it for our tour.
can you know, build
So-
stuff, buy stuff, do
The amazing
things like
setup, right?
if I had
Can't
enough
wait to
money
join
I could
Blade,
go to
right?
the residential area
Okay,
and
Lynn,
buy a house for my
seriously, that's
character.
enough.
And then buying a
I'm
house
not
for my
here to make a
character
sales
gave me
pitch.
things to where I
Just
can
want you
mount
to have all
my
the
weapons
facts
that
so
I
you can make an
found,
informed
suits
decision
of
to
armor,
join
things
us
like that.
or not.
Yeah.
But that's
Now
only
that
if it's
you've seen
online.
where
If
and
it's an
how we
offline
work,
game,
hopefully it made a good
where the
impression.
only time I
Your
connect
decision,
online
just
and
that.
interact with
Your
people
decision.
is to purchase, you know, their
Anyways,
scouts,
let's head back to
Yeah.
the barracks.
then
Secretary Nagi
I
will
don't
be
really give a damn.
Yeah, it's kind of sort of pointless. Alright, yay, we did it!
Like, I would just want
We looked at all the things.
to be in the town, to just go to the town, get a list of places that I can go, choose where I go, NPC pops up and says, blah,
Yeah.
and then just be like, alright, I want to leave town, and it poops me back out into the middle of, like, you know, the battlefield, where I can then wander where it's useful for me to wander, you know?
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's kind of like pointless for me to wander around. Now I believe you have to go back to the Blade Barracks, which is behind the tower.
Alright. Well, let's do that next time.
Yep, when we come back, everybody, we will be back at the Blade Barracks.
Alright. Bye, everyone.